Hey, what is up guys, Jared here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do part 2 of how to make Don't Tap the White Tiles with Swift and Xcode. Now the first part was mainly focusing on setting everything up, setting up our view controller and having all the blocks set up and named and everything. So if you missed that, I'll have an annotation right over here that you can click on, or it'll be the first link in the description down below, right underneath that like button. Now the second part will be mainly focusing on programming the whole thing and actually making everything move down the screen when you click on the black ones and also move over to a different view controller when you click on the white ones. And if you guys want a part 3 where I teach you how to do scoring and saving the score and everything, then be sure to hit that like button down below. Anyway guys, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty guys, so to get started, let's go ahead and open up our project that we created last time. And let's go ahead and go to our main.storyboard. And click on these black bar buttons, and we just want to open up, it's called the utilities editor right over here. And that's basically, it's open typically by default when you open up the main.storyboard, but right now it was closed. So just go ahead, open up your utilities editor, and then there is a little arrow with a circle surrounding it that it's your connections basically. And basically all I'm trying to do here is trying to find out which black tile I am selecting at the moment. So right now I am selecting black tile 5, and this will help later on with naming the actions that are actually going to be controlling everything inside of this app. So let's go ahead and now that we know that this is black tile 5, let's control or right click or right click and drag from our black bar button 5, black tile 5. And we're going to make the connection type action, and our name, I'm just going to call mine 5th down. And all we're doing here is we're going to set up a function that basically when this button is pressed, it's going to call whatever is inside of these parameters right here. And we're going to edit those later, but for now we're just going to connect everything and get all the buttons so they have actions so that when they are clicked, something happens. So let's go ahead and do that. This is black tile 4, so I'm going to right click or control click and drag from that button. And connection, action, and our name will be 4th down. Now I'm just going to go ahead and skip through so you guys don't have to watch me this whole time. And also just a reminder that there are 1, 2, 3 buttons all in this one little area, so make sure you have all of the buttons that have connections. If you set it up the way I did, I just have them all 3 buttons right here. So just make sure you don't miss any of the black buttons. Alright, now there you have it. We have all of our buttons, and now they all have functions. So now when we click on these buttons, something inside of these parameters will happen. Now what we want to happen is basically when we click on this button, every tile in the whole scene is going to move down exactly right below where it originally was. So let's go ahead and do that. So first off, we just want to say white tile 1 dot center dot y is equal to white tile 1 dot center dot y minus 142. And basically all I'm doing right here is this is the white tile that we want to move, and then we're grabbing the center position of that, and then we're only grabbing the y position. So we're moving the y position of this white tile right here. I believe this is number 1. Yeah, white tile 1, and we're going to move it. We're grabbing the center position of this white tile, and then we're going to move it down 142 pixels. So it's actually going to go right beneath where it originally was. And the way I'm getting 142 pixels is because when you go into your attributes, your measurements, your size inspector right over here, you will see that the height of it is 142. Now, if you created your buttons in a different way, be sure that your whatever number right here matches the height of your button right here, and then that'll make it all move down exactly properly. Okay, now let's go ahead and continue on, and here's just a little programmer hack for you, at least to me. Yeah, I'm gonna go white tile 1 dot center dot y. Just say white tile dot center dot y equals white tile dot center dot y. And this is sort of a little quick way of editing everything inside of that. And I'm actually going to go ahead and close out of my main.storyboard and close off my attributes. All right, now this is going to be easier for us. All right, now we have whitetile.center.y, and it's going to give you this error because there's nothing named white tile. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that and paste that until we have all 15 of these white tiles done. I probably overdid it a little bit there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through and say white tile 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then finish it off by going 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and we don't have 16, so just go ahead and delete the rest that we have there. And then that's just sort of the way I like to number things. It's a lot faster for me, at least. And so I'm just going to go ahead and finish this off. Alright, now we have all our white tiles named, and now we actually forgot to put the minus 142, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that to the end of everything. Alright, now we have all our white tiles, so now if I was to click our first button, which is this button right up here, if I was to click that, all the white tiles would move up. And actually I messed up. I forgot about this whole thing. When you click on, right now it's saying minus 142, and the reason it actually moves everything up is because when you're going to your main.storyboard, this right here is actually the origin. So right here is 0, 0. And when you go down, you're actually moving pixels up. So right down here would actually be 568, and over here would be 320. So when you move down 142 pixels, you're wanting to actually add 142 to the number, to the position of the white tile. And then that just sort of, I don't know why Apple did that. I mean, it makes sense in my head, I guess, a little bit, but yeah, that just basically, just remember that this is 0, 0, and you're increasing as you go down and as you're going to the right. All right, now let's go ahead, go back to our MuController.Swift, and this now needs to be plus 142. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that for all of these and come right back. All right, now I'm going to go ahead, build and run this, and see and show you guys what exactly happens. So now we click on our black tile 1 up here, and everything moves down. All right, now let's go ahead and do the same for our black tiles. So go ahead and just say black tile center y equals black tile center y, and we're going to do the same, plus 142. And now just copy and paste that, and we'll fill in the numbers. And there you have it. Now when we click our play button, now it should move all of our black tiles and white tiles down 142 pixels. Alright, now we have them all, so when we click on this black tile 1 right over here, it all moves down 142 pixels. Alright, now as you can see, nothing regenerates up here at the top, and also it's only working for our first tile. So now let's just go ahead and copy and paste everything that we have right here, and just put that into our second action, our second function, our third function, our fourth function, and lastly our fifth function. And now for any of the black buttons that we press, it should automatically move it down, everything down 142 pixels like you just saw right there. Alright, now that we have all that working, now we actually need to see when it gets down to the bottom, we want it to regenerate back at the top. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Just go down to your, we're actually going to work with our fourth down right now. So right down here, you just want to say if black tile 5, and this might be a little surprising, I'll explain this in just a minute, .center.y is greater than or equal to, and I'm going to do a bit of math right here. Since the screen size is 568, and we're going down 142 pixels, we actually want this, and it's actually calculating from the center, so we actually go 142 divided by 2 equals 71. And when we have 71, then we actually want to add that to 568, like so, and then we have 639 is our answer. So right down here would actually be when it's greater than or equal to the center.y is equal to 639, which would be like right down here, then we want it to regenerate back at the top above everything, and then that would all work. All right, so just go ahead and say if blacktile5.center.y is greater than or equal to 638, and because this is just future proofing, just in case like a measurement's a little bit off, then it's still going to regenerate back at the top. So that's just the way I see it. So go ahead and add a parameter, add an open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and then we can say right after that blacktile5.center.y is equal to -71. And again, this is the center, half of 142, so then we want to place it right up here above everything else, right above everything else. And again, yes, it is -71 because as you go up, you're going down in numbers, and when you're going down, you go up in numbers, and so on and so forth. All right, now let's go back to our viewController.swift, and as you can see, we have now this will actually regenerate back to the top. So build and run this, and I'll show you exactly how that happens. So this is our fourth button right here. So when we click on that, it regenerates it back to the top, and then we can keep clicking, and then it just keeps on coming. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. And now my logic behind doing this in the fourth down is because you actually want to test the position of the tile right underneath it, just so when you actually, because this, when you run the function, it's going to do everything all at once. And if it's not below 638 pixels, when you click on this button right here, then it won't regenerate back to the top. So you actually want to grab the tile right above it, so it's actually testing whether this is below or not. So now we just go ahead and continue on. So this, for our fifth down, this would actually be doing our first button right up here. So this is testing for the first button, fourth is for fifth, third is for fourth, second is for third, and first is for second. And those are all testing for those specific things. So let's go into our viewController.swift and finish this up. So we just copy and paste that if statement that we have there and just change up some of the numbers. So this would be blacktile1. And then our third down would actually be blacktile4.center.y. And then up here on our second down, we're testing for our third button. So we actually want to say blacktile3.center.y. And for our first button, we're checking again for our second button. So say if blacktile2.center.y, like so. All right, now let's build and run this, and everything should work properly. And as you can see, we're having these weird gaps going on, and that's mainly because we don't have this whole thing set up properly. This row right here, our first row, should actually be -71 pixels above. So actually, let's go ahead and do that right now. So go ahead and select all of these buttons right here. Open up your utilities inspector right here. And we're going to change the position of everything. So our Y value, we actually want to set that to -142. And the reason I'm doing 142 is because it's actually measuring the Y value according to either this one or this, one of these origin. It's testing it basically from the corner of it. So we actually want to do it from -142 rather than -71 because it's not measuring from the center in this case. So now that puts it right above, as you can see there, and we can move our second row, which is the sort of the hidden row, and we can just put that right up there. And now let's build and run this, and now we should have a continuous thing going on. So now when we click on this, as you can see, it's now continuous. It's not going to, you might have some few glitches here and there, so I need to fix that. All right, now I actually just realized that we have this problem where if we don't click on this second row right here, we're going to get some glitches just because it's not testing for the proper ones that we actually want. So now we can actually go ahead and fix that. Right now, this is actually how the game would be played, because the second row is the only it's the only part in which you click. So if you keep clicking on the second row, you'll have no problem, and that's how the game was supposed to be played. So you can actually fix this in a way, but saying if it's not equal to this certain position, then it will be fixed. I mean, if it's not set up in this certain position, then nothing really happens. But for tutorial purposes, we're not going to mess around with that. We're just going ahead and we're going to just copy and paste this. So we have it testing for all of the black buttons all of the time in all of these functions, just so when we click on one, it automatically tests for every black button, making sure that everything's in place properly. So let's go ahead and just copy and paste our black. It doesn't really matter what we're doing right now. It just sort of, we take this black tile 1, we take this black tile 1.center.y and black tile 2.center.y, and we're just basically changing this up so it works for all of the black tiles all of the time, making sure that everything is in the right place. All right. And now we have it testing for all of them. So let's go ahead, build and run. And actually, that was wrong. We don't want to build and run it yet. We actually want to copy this and replace it with everything else. So just copy, paste, Command C, Command V, everything, so that we have this going on in all of our functions where it's testing for all of the black tiles, just so we don't have any further mistakes. And like I said, there are other ways to work around this, but this is the simplest way to me. So I'm just going to go ahead, build and run this. And now it's automatically testing, so we'll automatically have this continuous line of black pieces, and we're not going to have anything going on with this. All right, now let's go ahead and do the white tiles so that we can have those looping at the same time as the black tiles. So right here, I actually moved this down slightly while I was trying to figure things out. So let me go ahead and move it back to the place it was. Okay, so now we have all of the black tiles in place, and now when we just want to figure out what row all of this is. So we have the white tiles, and this should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, it's not supposed to be like that. So let's go ahead and copy. Let's select all of our buttons right here, and we're going to move this to down slightly so we can see the row above and make sure that we have the right white tiles for everything. So go ahead, and we have this white tile right here. So this, and let's go ahead and go to our outlets right here, and we're just making sure that we're editing the right row. So right here, this is black tile 1, and we're going to have white tiles 1, 2, and 3. And it should continue like this in the same pattern. If you hooked anything up weird, then just make sure that it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have 15 white tiles in total, and that's how the rows should be placed. We're just, the real reason we're just doing this is making sure that with this black tile that we're editing right here, we want to make sure that we're editing the right ones. Edit the right white tiles at the same time. So now we want to say if the black tile 1.center.y is greater than or equal to 600, we want to say white tile 1.center.y is also equal to -71, and white tile 2.center.y is equal to -71. And lastly, white tile 3.center.y is equal to -71. And now continue this fashion for all of our white tiles in all of these circumstances. So with black tile 2.center.y, we would actually want this to be 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. And then black tile 3 would be white tiles 7, 8, 9. Black tile 4 would be 10, 11, and 12. And lastly, black tile 5 would end up being 13, 14, and 15, like so. All right, now we just actually, we can go ahead and copy this whole thing right here that we just did. And we can just go ahead and paste that right on top of there. So we just replace basically whatever we had with all the if statements, and go ahead and just replace that with the statements that we just edited. All right, now go do that for all of our functions. So go ahead and just copy and paste that. Copy and paste that, and paste it one more time. I wasn't meaning copy and paste, just paste over the whole if statements that we created in the first place, and just there you have it. Now we can go ahead, build and run this. And as you can see, we have this, and it's going to be looping around, and all the white tiles are also looping around along with this. And now next thing we need to do is actually take the black tile and move it around when we, according to, and now actually what we want to do is actually take this black tile and move it into a different place anytime we regenerate it back to the top. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to create another function right down here, and we're just going to call this random placement. And then do that. Open parentheses, close parentheses, open curly bracket, enter, and then close curly bracket like so. And now we have created this function that we're going to call later on. All right, now this function itself, first thing we actually want to do is create a variable. And this variable will be a random variable, and it's going to later pick which tile goes where. So let's go ahead and just say var random number equals arc for random space %, and just we're going to have 4 options. So like so. All right, and now actually you want to take this random number, and we're going to make some switch cases. Basically what a switch case is, you're just taking that number and you're applying certain things to happen for every number that is produced. So we can just go ahead and say switch open parentheses and say random number, and then open curly bracket, close curly bracket, and then for our first we want to say case 0, because actually the first case that's going to happen is again 0, and the last case that's going to happen is 3. So we want to say case 0, and for our first case we want to say black tile 1 dot center dot x is equal to, and now we're actually going to calculate this out. So right here we're wanting this to be in this placement right over here. So we want to actually take this white tile, and we can actually just see what the parameters are for it. So right now what the parameters are for this. So right now we see that the width is 40. So when we go black tile.center.x, we want this to be 40, which is half of our width. So that'll make it right in the center, about 40. And we're already setting this every button automatically goes to -71. So we don't need to worry about that. But right here we have case 0, black tile.center.x equals 40, and then we want white tile 1.center.x is equal to 120, because that is 40 plus 80. So go ahead and that's how you calculate everything out. And then you say white tile 2.center.x is equal to, and plus 80, so that'll be 200, and white tile 3.center dot x is equal to 280, like so. And now this is the first case, so now let's go ahead and just copy that and paste that, so we have 4 cases. So now we have case 2, 3, I'm sorry, we actually want this to be 1, 2, and 3. And also the reason it's giving me an error, so let's go ahead and fix that right now. We want to say right after here, we want to have a break. So a break after every case. So break, break, and lastly a break. And then we're going to have a default and then break. Default and then colon like that, and then break. So now basically all this huge thing of code is doing is it's saying for our first, if the case is equal to 0, so if this number right here is equal to 0, then it sets it up in this way. So the x values are all switched up in that way. And now if the case equals 1, we're going to go ahead and do that in just a minute. And basically all a break is, it's just, I don't exactly know what it is. If you guys want to know what it is, leave it down in the comment section down below. But the way I see it, it's just basically needed for every case. So after a case is called, you need a break. And then a case 1, you need a break. And then lastly, the default is basically, this is what it defaults to if it doesn't have any of those numbers. So you could potentially do something like that, but we're having only these numbers, so we don't need to worry about it. All right, and now let's go ahead and just change up these values a bit more. So black tile 1.center.x should now be 120, and our white tile 1.center.x could now just replace whatever we had before, so now that should be 40. And I'm just going to change it up in that similar fashion. We just basically replace our whatever's white tile is at this with this. So this will be 200, and our white tile 2 will now be 40. And now white tile 3.center.x will be 40, while this is 280. So now we have all of these different scenarios going on, and we can actually go ahead and build and run this. And also, I'm just going to fix this up real quick. We have the placement of all these buttons a bit weird, so go ahead, select those, and let's put them in the right place, like so. And now let's go ahead, build. And as you can see, let's go ahead and just keep clicking. And the reason nothing's happening actually right now is because we need to go into our viewcontroller.swift. And this function right here is not being called by anything. So that's why it's not running it. So let's actually just go ahead and finish up everything before we finish up here. So this right here, we can actually say, we're going to actually switch things up a little bit. So this is for our first row. So we can actually call this random placement 1. So this will be our first row. And now we can just go ahead and copy and paste exactly what we have in this whole function. So we have it for all of our rows. And I think I'm copying and pasting that a bit weird. Yeah, make sure you have the right curly brackets selected when you copy and paste. So right there. Now go ahead and copy and paste that so we have it for all 5 of our buttons. And right now this is giving you an error because we have multiple functions with the same name. So let's go ahead and just continue on and finish this up real quick. Alright, so we have random placement 1. Then go down beneath that. This should be 2. Random placement 3. And random placement 4. And there should be one more. That'll be random placement 5, like so. All right, now we need to edit these according to which row that we're actually doing. So now we have row 1 already done, so we don't need to worry about that. Now we need to go to random placement 2. And as you can see, the black tile will be black tile 2. The white tile will be 4, 5, and 6. And the white tile placements don't really matter unless they're hindering our black tile placement. But basically, yeah, that's what we just really care about, where the black tile is placed and not so much about where the white tile is placed. So let's go to our black tile here and just change everything up. And you basically just continue the same fashion until you have the same for all of them. So 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 5, 6. And now we have random replacement 3. So the black tile will be now 3. And this will be 7, 8, 9, 3, 7, 8, 9, 3, 7, 8, 9, 3, 7, 8, 9. Now we're on 4, so 4, 10, 11, 12, 4, 10, 11, 12, and I'm just going to go ahead and skip the rest of this so I don't bore you guys. Alright, and now we are on this row, so now it should be black tile 5, 13, 14, and 15, like so. Alright, and now we have all of these functions. Right now they're not doing anything because they're not being called by any instance, but right now we have all of these functions and they're going to place everything according to which white tile or whatever case is called by this random number up here. Alright, now let's go ahead and make this all called. So right in here, just go up to your if statement right up here, and we can just say, since this is our first black tile, we actually want to call random placement 1. And yeah, like we're doing right here, you go open square bracket, random replacement 1, open parentheses, close parentheses, and then lastly a square bracket. And this is how you call any function that you create in this instance. So we're calling random placement 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Alright. Now let's do the same for our black tile. 2.center.y is greater than or equal to 600. Now it should be random placement 2. And again, random placement 3, like so. And lastly, random placement 4, not lastly. And lastly, random placement 5. Alright, now I'm going to make this text a bit smaller just so you can see a lot more. So I'm just going to go to Xcode Preferences, and I'm going to shrink down the text a little bit. And I'll go back to the big text once I need it. So go here and change it up. Go to this thing, and we're just going to change it down to, we'll say 14. Alright, and now we have it changed to 14. Or, now we don't. Spinning circle. Alright, now we have it all changed. We have our text changed to 14. And hopefully you can see a better perspective of what exactly we're doing here. So now we're moving everything down when this button is clicked. And if the button is clicked to a certain point, then we move everything back up to the top. And when that happens, we actually want to place it randomly, like we did, like we created these functions right down here. And then that's pretty much everything. You just go ahead and copy that whole thing that we just did right here, and just go ahead and paste that instead of what we had right in all of the other in all of the fourth down, third down, and other so functions. Now I hope I am making a lot of sense to you guys on why I'm doing things. I'm sorry if I sound a little sick. I am a little sick right now, so that is why I sound sick. I don't know. And now let's go ahead, build and run this, and everything should work properly. So let's go ahead and hopefully everything works well. Now we have everything placed. It goes randomly along the screen, and now we have it endlessly going randomly along the screen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot. This took me a lot of time to make, so I would really appreciate a thumbs up down below. And also share this with anyone that might need to learn how to make Don't Tap the White Tiles with Swift and Xcode. So anyway, guys, that's it for this tutorial, and thank you. Anyway, guys, that's it for this tutorial. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button down below. If you guys want to know more about me, be sure to check me out in the link descriptions down below for Twitter and also my website and Instagram. And if you want to help me out with making these videos, be sure to leave comments in the description down below. And always remember to let it go. Let it go. And I will see you in the next one. Sorry.